Good morning. So we're going to start with a very simple question. I ask all of you if you've been to a place that has changed your life. Okay. So that's exactly what happened to me when I was 16, but my chapter started earlier than that. Dad's influence is very key to me, more than anything else, because it felt like having a rock star for a father. When you actually have someone who's actually playing an instrument for the Royal Gibraltar Regiment, for example, and people clapping along to it, and actually embracing that music and enjoying the music, it just felt great all around, you know, because at the end of the day, it's your dad that's representing Gibraltar, and in a very good way as well.
I write about
Dad's influence, more than anything else before the regiments, is his legacy. He's got it behind him all the way. It's in his blood and his DNA, so I guess it's fair to say I got into music in a different way. Meeting the greats. When I was about 4, I met Hector Cortés for the first time. Maybe I had met him before that, but obviously when I was 4 is when I remember meeting him more. And obviously Hector being my dad's mentor in every sense of the word, be it all things music, and when the Gibraltar Regiment band started, luck was on the side, really, considering that Hector was the band's first bandmaster. Moving on to that, I remember people who maybe, some young people in the audience, I don't know, I can't really see, but you could actually park in Main Street once upon a time, believe it or not. And I remember being outside the Safeways, outside where Marks and Spencer is now. And I remember being with my dad and meeting William Gomez for the first time. That was a huge thing, because I remember my dad telling me who he was, and you don't really embrace it until you get older. And once you realize that you met one of the local music greats, it just changes your perspective all the way. Especially when you actually get the Vibration CD that came out a lot later than that, and that was played at home quite constantly. So when you actually have the likes of William Gomez and Hector Cortés and many others who I'll probably stay here till tomorrow, naming the rest of them, it does change your life in more ways than one. When I was almost 11, I'll go back, I actually heard Mel and Diesel for the first time. And I remember my brother telling me, listen to this. Inspirations don't necessarily have to be go on a worldwide scale, but a band from Gibraltar is the ones that drove me here. When I listened to this for the first time, I couldn't even believe my ears. And when I watched the video, I couldn't even believe my eyes, really, when I actually thought, these guys are local and I need to meet them one way or another. As the years went by, I ended up meeting them, working with them, and more than anything else, respect them for what they did and they have done for local music. I'm going to fast forward a little bit more now. It goes in chapters, as you can see. This is what changed my life in more ways than one. I remember being 16 and my friends went in Gibraltar College with me, and they used to go to psychology lessons. And they just came to me straight after one of those lessons on a Friday when we were deciding what to do. Carefree. No drinking, no nothing. Yeah, right. They just said, Mr. Sempeder just said to go to Rock on the Rock. And there was this new thing in town. And they just said, this band Meadow of Crows is playing. So we just thought, why not? Let's just give it a go. When I stepped into the club for the first time, you actually heard Keep on Rockin' the Freeworld in the background there. And I actually saw people embracing this band as if they were like the Beatles playing over the Rolling Stones. But the first thing that grabbed my attention wasn't Mr. Sempeder and the drums, actually. It was actually Stu Whitwell. And because obviously Stu used to live in my building then, so I thought, what's Stu doing here? He's playing the guitar. I didn't even know he played guitar. So it was quite actually a surreal thing. But when I saw behind him that Roy was playing the drums, and he just looks at us like, oh yeah, this is what I do. This is my other hobby. It opened our eyes in more ways than one. I say more ways than one a lot, I know, but it really did change my life. I don't think I'd be here if Roy hadn't told us about Rock on the Rock. Purely because I met so many local musicians after that, and I've met long-time friends after that as well. Friends that I would consider the ones that are close to me and the ones that actually changed my life, and actually, more than anything else, they embraced local music just as much as I did when I was 11. Everything happens for a reason. Everyone has heard that phrase more than once in their lives, but that really did happen to me. I must have been around almost 24, no, 25, when I actually listened to more local music than ever. And I think it was more because it was around, you know, it was more accessible. Social media, Facebook was just becoming the hardest thing since sliced bread, Twitter the same thing. And I thought to myself, in May 2014, I was unemployed for a while. And I thought to myself, you know what? I actually podcast for a living sometimes, and to cure my boredom, I'll do that with a few friends from the UK. And I thought, you know, why not a podcast about local musicians? So I started, you know, and I thought to myself, you know, who can I actually approach for a first guest? There was a few, and some of them did get back to me, and they came a lot later, but one of them in particular said, "Claro, brother." Adrian Pissarello. That hour, just me and Adrian, my laptop, my microphone, just flew by like hell. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm onto something here. But I didn't know what I was going to expect. 2 years, almost to the day, I got a call. I was the ETB, and they're telling me, Panorama looking for someone. Would you be interested? So I said, yes, straight away. I took my chance, went to that interview, and surprisingly enough, I succeeded. My life's motto is always don't stop believing. Because when I got into Panorama, just write about local news, which is very fun in its own right because you get to meet a lot of interesting people. But obviously the passion for music was always there. So when they tell me, would you be interested to write about local music? I didn't even know what to say. One Friday afternoon changed my life. I went to that Jib Floyd Chronology concert, keeping it to myself that I was going to start a music column, and I didn't even know what to do. And I'm like, how do I write about music? I was so used to just doing audio interviews, but it just came naturally. In my own right, my parents got me a guitar when I was 18. To this day, I still haven't played it. But the thing is with that, maybe I play music in my own little way. I write about it. And there's no better feeling when you write about a local musician or even meet local musicians and they thank you for what you do. But there's so many people you got to thank when you actually get to that chapter of your life. It looks like I'm actually winning an Oscar, but I'm not. But when you got to thank people, you got to thank your colleagues more than anything else. Your friends that back you all the way. People like Seamus, always number one to support me. And of course, my family. My siblings, more than anything else, have always supported me, even when I've been in pain. My parents, for having the power to have the most diverse music taste you can ever imagine. From Cliff Richard, all the way to Vibrations, all the way to Pavarotti. But I embraced it when you're young, without finding the inspirations of my own. Which is very appropriate, because when I actually started my podcast, I called it Inspired By. And people tell me all the time, but why did you call it Inspired By? It's very simple. I'm inspired by my dad's legacy, my mom's legacy as well, my siblings, and of course the local musicians that have paved the way for what local music has become. So to sum up what the subject of my talk is about, if you have a passion, follow it. Eventually, it will become your profession. Remember to don't stop believing, and more than anything else, remain very humble. Thank you for listening, and have a good day.